genre.
In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thank you for listening to Ideal Remake. We take movies that either have been, will be, or should be remade and talk about what the ideal version of that remake would be. Today we're talking about a movie where the sun is exploding. So humanity decides to strap a bunch of rockets onto the planet in order to move Earth into the solar system of a new star. And then things go wrong. So,
dun, dun, dun.
Katelyn, is The Wandering Earth a movie that has been, will be, or should be remade?
It definitely should be.
Yay! Cool. So, you said you had a perfect intro for this movie, so let's hear it.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you that this movie is just like Jupiter because it is considered to be a failed star.
Wow. What a callback to watching the movie.
You're welcome.
That is perfect. So, first things first, I guess you should introduce yourself. Hi, Katelyn Rodgers. Welcome back to Ideal Remake. You were last on for Dune. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, actually. I'm glad to be here. It's always fun to hang out with one of my best friends, Sam.
Yay.
And I love your podcast. You do an amazing job.
I wasn't fishing for that, but thank you.
You're welcome.
How did you first hear about and or see Wandering Earth?
Well, today I wore my Wētā Workshop sweater because at one point in my life I decided to take an adventure and go to Little Hobbiton in New Zealand. And while I was there, I went and visited the Wētā Workshop. And I made a lot of friends along the way, and they happen to be the people that made the Wandering Earth spacesuits, which
we can all agree looked great.
I went gaga over when I went to New Zealand. So basically, I watched the movie because I got to see them in real life, and I was just so impressed with it.
That's a much cooler story than mine. But for those of you that don't know, The Wandering Earth is a movie that came out in 2019? So it might be the most recent movie I've covered on the show. I typed show instead of Earth. Yeah, 2019. And basically, this movie is a Chinese movie, but it's on Netflix, and you can either watch it subbed or dubbed. I've now watched it both ways. I think you have too.
Yes.
And it's literally about what I said in the intro of, well, the sun's exploding and Earth's gonna die unless they move the planet somewhere else.
Yeah, it would be way less convenient to build a spaceship. It would be easier to just move the Earth.
They turned the planet into a spaceship, so that way they have a planet when they get there that they know works. Meanwhile, step 1, build a bunch of rockets. Step 2, stop Earth from rotating, which they said will cause floods, which will wipe out half the population. And that's just thrown away. Step 3, launch Earth away from the sun. To step 4, establish itself within a new solar system in a journey that will take 2,500 years.
It's beautiful. You can take every single disaster movie and put them all together into one movie, and this is that movie.
And this is that movie. This movie is bonkers, and anytime something scientific comes along, you can guarantee that they'll do the least scientific thing.
It's amazing. Everything about it, I just can't get over. It makes you laugh. It makes you cry. It makes you cry tears that just float into space. I mean, it's so perfect.
It's so
in such
ridiculous.
A bad way. Like Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's 100%. What you were saying last night when we watched the movie, is that Mystery Science Theater needs to cover this movie.
Oh, for sure.
It's made for that. And, like, this is the sort of movie, and it's on Netflix, so everyone has it. Just, like, invite some friends over and have an insane movie night. It's wild. Like, so I first heard about this movie as part of my movie club. Like, I was hosting one month and we decided we wanted to do disaster movies. And I found this list of just, like, all these sorts of disaster movies. And I wanted to pick one from different decades. So, like, I couldn't do whatever the boat one is.
Poseidon?
Poseidon Adventure.
Yes.
Thank you. Very good.
I love disaster movies, by the way. Sam, do you know that?
You've mentioned that.
Yes.
I've really only seen this and Towering Inferno.
How about San Andreas?
I haven't seen San Andreas.
Oh, The Rock. It's so
I haven't seen it.
Oh my god. Oh, there's so many more.
I also haven't seen 2012.
How about Day After Tomorrow?
Mm-mm.
Dante's Peak?
No.
Volcano?
No.
Daylight?
No.
We gotta watch so many movies, Sam.
I agree. But also, have you seen Towering Inferno?
I don't think I have.
That's like the OG disaster movie.
Then I have to watch that with you.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's weirdly long. But again, you're screaming at the screen the entire time. Learn how science works, you fools!
Well, did you see Jurassic World Dominion?
No, but I haven't seen any of the Jurassic World movies.
It's a disaster movie.
I mean,
it's
Jurassic
great.
Park's a disaster movie.
That's true.
It's like, we're gonna have a park with dinosaurs, and then everything goes wrong! That's a disaster movie.
Love it.
So that's what this is. So basically, the movie opens on this, like, father and son. And he's like, son, Dad's gonna have to go away for a little bit. I'll just be among the stars, but I'll be back. And then when the son's asleep, he's like, all right, my dad, son's grandfather, here's your pass so you can get into the underground and you don't have to win the lottery. Don't fuck it up.
Can we also address the throwaway character known as Mom?
Oh, yeah. 45 minutes to an hour into this movie, Mom comes up in conversation. And Katelyn, what happens to Mom?
Mom is just completely discarded. Completely. She's sick, so she's not a valid character anymore, and they just throw her away.
Right. So in this movie, apparently because the son of this guy who's going to go be an astronaut and, like, go be on the other science station or whatever, like, gets a free pass and gets to bring one guardian, presumably the other parent. But the other parent's sick. So without her ever opening her eyes, they take her off life support or whatever at the hospital and just, like, let her die so grandpa can go down with him. Mom is literally thrown away.
Just like the moon. And just like all the other moons.
Yeah, that was one of the things we talked about. If the Earth's moving, the moon's going with it. Or shit's about to get real weird. If you move... And, like... The movie, like, the things that go wrong is that Earth gets too close to Jupiter, and Jupiter, like, gravity intensifies in order to draw in Earth. Like how gravity works, it, like, comes in waves, which it doesn't. And so, like, and they're like, well, we had to do this because we had to use Jupiter in order to escape the solar system. First of all, Earth got out of the gravity well that it was already in to get to where it was, which means it doesn't need fucking shit because that's not how inertia works.
Also, I did some nerding out. They had to go through a giant asteroid belt that is between some of the rotational planets, and they just pass through it with no problem. And then they're not even worried about the 79 moons. 79 moons.
Oh, you looked it up
on Jupiter, yeah.
Okay, because you were really focused on moons, and I love and respect that about you. We left our moon behind, including all the satellites, despite the fact that they're in orbit around Earth. They're not locked into place in the universe. So our moon and the satellites surrounding Earth should have been coming with. And then Jupiter has moons. Earth's flying past, and it should have been immediately just bombarded with moons on Jupiter moons, which are the size of Earth.
Yeah, or even bigger.
They're bigger. Like
I think there are.
Like Io is big. Is like could be its own planet, right?
Yeah, Europa.
Or Europa.
Yeah.
This
Crazy.
movie's ridiculous.
I know. I love everything.
And that has nothing to do with the people. So
the storyline.
Yeah. So this kid grows up. This is 17 years later, and the kid grows up, and for some reason it took Earth 17 years. If it's moving that slowly, you're in deep shit.
It's like Dragon Ball Z, like we were mentioning. Like
we're not even at Dragon Ball Z yet. Oh yes,
action takes like forever.
This 5 minutes of battle is going to take 6 hours of TV time.
So for the sequels, we're gonna have to do many sequels.
Okay, you mentioned this ahead of recording. There's going to be a sequel to this movie?
So it's based off of a novel, a Chinese novel, and there's 3 parts to this novel, and this is the only first part. It's called Wandering Earth.
So I saw that. The novel Wandering Earth came out after the movie.
Yes, and then there's 2 more parts of the novel, one called The Micro Era and Devourer. So we're about to look forward to 2 more movies.
Yeah, okay, so I'm on IMDb Pro, and I'm seeing The Wandering Earth 2 coming next year, 2023. Humans built huge engines on the surface of Earth to find a new home, but the road to the universe is perilous. In order to save Earth, young people once again have to step forward to start a race against time for life and death. That's literally what it says for the first one. That doesn't tell us what the second one's about.
I'm bouncing my feet. I am so excited.
This is so weird.
I can't help it. It's so great. It's just the perfect. I love disaster movies.
I sure am glad there's going to be a character named Indian Wife. the gender politics in this movie are garbage.
Questionable.
There are 3 female characters in this movie. The mom who never opens her eyes or does anything and they just let die. When the angry son, Lu Ki, decides he's gonna go like steal his grandfather's like mover truck or whatever, brings his younger sister with because she's always wanted to see the surface, and he's like, oh, by the way, I'm not going back. I don't know where you're gonna go. I mean, I guess you can go like into one of the other towns.
It was just becoming Ice Road, the movie.
Yeah. Ice Road Trucker, the movie.
Yeah.
But like this little sister does nothing the whole movie. And at the very end, she's the one who's like, it sure would be great if we had hope, without telling anyone what the plan is. She forgot that part. She forgot the part where she has to tell everybody what the plan is.
Yeah.
In order to try to save the planet. Instead, she's like, my teacher asked us, what is hope? I didn't have hope, but now I have hope. So that's the second female character, the one who's useless. And the second one of the soldiers is female because we're progressive, except she is only counterproductive.
She destroys the one source that would save them.
Yeah, she destroys the one source that would save them because they can't get it anywhere. And then, which at the time you're like, okay. And then a truck shows up that can get it someplace, but luckily there was another one inside.
Oh, you know what else I looked up?
What'd you look up? Please tell me.
Sulawesi is the city that they keep referring to.
Yeah, the Indonesian city.
They are more than 1,000 miles away from each other on planet Earth. And for some reason, they just keep passing each other. And the time doesn't matter how long it takes to go 1,000 miles via truck.
They do say at one point that this drive is going to take us 10 hours.
That's
And then we cut to the end of it.
Yeah, and they keep passing each other.
This movie, it has so many little conveniences, and none of them make sense. So basically, the truck goes, and then just as it happens, that's also the day that the dad is going to be coming back from space because he was on the space station for 17 years doing science stuff or whatever. And it's like, oh, you finally reach retirement, you get to go home. Despite the fact that they then later say in the movie that the space station is what's really going to be saving humanity because it has a bunch of attractive, fertile people on it, a bunch of seeds, the genetic record and history of the planet,
like DNA
and everything, and like it locks all of the people to some sort of cryo sleep. But no, it was also his last day before retirement, which is why he's going to die. Dad's gonna die, but at least he dies being stupid.
Yes. So So basically what we're saying is that this movie is full of fun and entertainment, and
you have to watch this movie.
You can't go wrong. You will be entertained from the very minute it starts to the very ending.
Yes. But you have to be open to what this movie is, but you will have a good time watching this movie and shouting at it.
We will say that the roles and the actors definitely need to change.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those movies that's like clearly very hand in hand with the Chinese government. Oh, well, it was the right thing to do for us to wipe out half of the population of the planet. No worries.
And only keep 5 countries?
Well, those are the 5 countries in charge.
Oh.
They were the ones that were on the council.
Was there another...
Well, they went to Indonesia. Indonesia wasn't on the council.
Oh. That sucks.
Yeah. That's rough for them. Anyway, but when the dad's trying to get like permission for them to try to do the plan to save the planet, the robot goes, oh yeah, the Israelis came up with this idea. It has a 0 chance of success, so we're not going to let you try. And the dad's like, please? And the robot's like, fine. So the little girl gets on the horn and doesn't tell anyone the plan, so they decide to do the plan. But basically, the dad has to ask permission from the 5 Earth humanity saving team.
Which we don't know who they are or where they are, or if they even exist.
Right. It sure makes it sound like they're disembodied voices, even though that means they're either on the planet or on the space station. And neither of those can be true, because if they're on the planet, they would want to save themselves. And if they were on the space station, they wouldn't let them sacrifice the space station. But the 5 countries were the United States, China, Russia, England, or Great Britain, and France.
Yeah.
And it's like, those are the ones? Really? Not Brazil or any country in Africa? Okay, that's fine. Whatever.
Just missing so many continents there.
So many people. India should be one of them.
Yeah.
But they're caught in Jupiter's gravity. The planet's going to crash Earth's going to crash into Jupiter, and everyone's going to die. but the space station people are going to make it, but then like it's a whole convoluted thing.
And then we got to throw in 2001 Space Odyssey with the AI being evil.
Yes, the AI running the space station is Very Hal 9000?
2001 Space Odyssey?
Yeah, it's HAL 9000, right?
I forgot.
It doesn't matter.
So sorry. But we did come up with a great name for the AI.
Yeah, so the AI in the movie is called Moss, M-O-S-S, because
they don't explain it.
They never explain it. It's just the robot. They might explain it, but we missed it.
And Sam, you came up with the best name.
Which was?
Mechanical Operations System Sus.
I think it was Mechanical...
Operations System.
Yeah, Mechanical Operation Super Sus.
Oh, Super Sus.
Super Sus.
Super
oh
sus.
Man, it's a single red eye robot that's in charge of everybody, and it's telling them all to go to sleep. So weird. But to your point, we need to change things, and basically, so it's like super cool with like eliminating half the population. It's like definitely very China friendly, and then like there's moments where it's like, I'm gonna be a real man. I'm gonna fire this machine gun, which does nothing. There's no reason for them to have it. There's a bunch of soldiers in this movie.
Okay, so I read up on that.
Purpose.
They edited a bunch of the storyline, which doesn't make sense in the movie.
Okay.
So basically, the original storyline was that rich people were the only ones that could afford it.
Could afford what?
To go to the spaceship.
Ah.
And you needed like $30 million. And so the actual government is just rich people. And then so that rich people wanted to control the planet. And all the
got it. So it's
the
dig at capitalism.
Yeah, and then the military is a big part of the entire thing because they want to keep control. The rich people want to keep control of the people. So they edited every scene of that out because they didn't have time to explain that. So we're seeing a lot of guns and a lot of military, and like a guy throws a wrench at another guy because they're having this social imbalance of you know, the rich versus the poor type of situation. But we aren't in on that.
Right.
Because they edited that part out.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting. Yeah.
So...
I mean, and there is jail. Like, eventually the kid and... Oh, and the story behind the sister is that, like, as the grandfather and the son are getting to go to the actual, like, bunker where they get to not die, someone randomly hands grandfather a baby, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take care of this baby. This makes sense. Like, someone was like, I'm going to die, please take my baby. And it's just like, yeah, I feel like that's a thing that would happen. That's really sad and heartwarming.
And they just passed right over it.
It sure is interesting that we're learning that an hour and 15 minutes into this movie.
Yeah, because the whole time we're questioning why he has a sister.
Yeah, because that hadn't come up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh no, that's your sister, I guess. Or whatever. And I was like, that actually is, it's like, it's the post-apocalyptic family you make because that's the people who were able to survive. Like, I thought that was really compelling and interesting, but they didn't talk about it at all.
Right.
Anyway, brother and sister get arrested. Grandfather shows up to get them out of jail, but because it was his truck, he gets thrown in jail too. And then earthquakes happen all over because we're too close to Jupiter. And then...
volcanoes happen?
Oh, yeah, volcanoes happen.
Yes!
And plot happens and, like, way more people die, but it doesn't matter.
Interrupts the plot line by causing a volcano.
Mm-hmm. Right, and like one of the cities in like so every single rocket on the equator and a bunch of the other rockets have underground cities underneath them because that's where people live, and it's important to have people living there so if like something goes wrong with the things, they can go up and fix it. That's it. That's the whole idea.
Throughout all these disasters, though, the best thing about it is they keep just destroying everyone. So by the end, you're like, who is anyone left?
Even left?
And then how is anyone left because volcanoes and etc.
There's this amazing moment where they're like on the frozen surface of the planet because it's in space and there's no atmosphere anymore, so and they're nowhere near the sun, so everything's cold. And they have to get this core that they can use to power the space rocket into the space rocket, and they have to get it up this skyscraper building. And everything goes wrong. So they're literally climbing a building, which is towering inferno, and they get caught in the elevator shaft. And
Die Hard.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Die Hard.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right. The elevators come screaming down, and one of the soldiers is like, no, I'll save you, grandfather of children. And he like sacrifices himself and throws the grandfather through like one of the doors and saves his life. The soldier dies, and then the grandfather immediately dies, making that whole scene pointless. And like no one even sees the grandfather die. It's just like, well, that sucks. Well, guess I'll die.
That's a good transition, though, to talk about the CG in this film.
How did you feel about the CG in this film?
I was blown away.
It was very good.
It was so good. Like, the detail and the architecture in all those disaster buildings and the everything, the sets, the props.
The planet flying through space.
Yeah.
Fucking Jupiter.
It looked amazing.
It all looked great.
The sun, I guess, reflection. It's still the sun. The sun's reflection off of every single surface looked accurate. Like, I couldn't tell, like, there was no, like, solar flares or anything like that.
And they talk about how, like, there's the light side of the planet and the dark side of the planet. And they were on the light side of the planet because it's the side still facing the sun. But then, like, the dark side of the planet, the part that's, like, going through space, they're just like, what's dark over there? And it was just, like, the artists who worked on this movie did an amazing job.
They really did.
So we will presume that level of artistry going forward, but what we really need to talk about now is plot. So, you can't have Wandering Earth without just, like, well, the only way to save humanity is to strap a bunch of rockets onto the planet and go find a different solar system. That level of pseudoscience ridiculousness aside, that's what we need. But where do we go from there, Katelyn? What happens next?
I mostly just wanted to change the way that they portrayed the human characters in this movie. I think I'm going to let you take over a little bit more on the plot line because you're the writer here.
Fair. I mean, I gender swapped a lot of people. Like
I did a few, but for instance, do you want me to start?
Oh, no, I don't want to talk about casting yet.
Okay, gotcha.
I want to talk about, like, what's going to happen.
What's going to happen? Well, it left room for a sequel, and as every disaster movie loves, it loves sequels, so I'll give it that.
Yeah.
I was highly entertained. There, again, I think, like, the motivations of the characters and how thrown away they were at every point in the movie, that I would probably recommend having a little more investment in each of the characters. Mm-hmm. In particular, the motivations and the chance of, again, finding each other over a 1,000-mile span seems a bit on the extreme side.
Yeah, especially since they abandoned all their satellites, so radar's not going to work anymore, and, like, satellite scanning and, like, GPS. Mm-hmm. If for some reason satellites don't continue orbiting the planet that they're orbiting, yeah, you're going to be in trouble. But in terms of plot, I would start differently. Okay. So this kid, basically, literally everything he does in the entire movie is motivated by anger and rage. Literally everything. And if you think I'm wrong, watch the movie. It's literally everything. And for some reason, it all works.
Yeah, no dynamic character development at all.
So what I want to do is I want to start this disaster movie with a mini disaster.
Awesome.
Because, like, the whole thing is like, well, I'm just going to go someplace and I'm not coming back. And, like, he navigates this whole thing with his sister about, like, figuring out a way to get out of town and then stay out of town. But I think what needs to happen is I think the movie needs to start with the brother and the sister having dinner and grandfather doesn't come home. So the reason why they're doing this whole orchestrated thing is because he didn't come home and they go out to rescue him.
Is that called motivation?
It's called something. And it's also...
I like it.
It's, instead of saving the cat, we're saving the pet.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing. But so basically, the brother says, no, I'm going to go. You have to stay here. And the sister's like, well, what if something happens to you? Then I would have to come out and save you. I may as well just go with you and save the time. And of course, in my version, it's older sister, younger brother. But...
Okay, you know what? I kind of did something, but I'm not going to tell you what actors I picked.
Good.
I wanted the grandpa's girlfriend to try to initiate a relationship with the son and go on an adventure with the son.
Interesting. What I did was, instead of it being dad in space, grandfather taking care of them, I had it be mom in space and just dad there.
That makes for a wholesome family.
So it's like mom's in space. It's literally, so we're not throwing away a parent. It's just
for no reason. The parents. Yeah.
And so they're not going to rescue grandfather. They're going to rescue dad. And same situation with the, like, kind of adopted younger brother. But basically they're going to go rescue him, and they steal a truck to go track down what happens. Because dad got trapped under some rubble, something similar. And they go and rescue him. And in doing so, they rescue him. But as soon as they rescue him, all three of them get arrested.
Awesome.
They get arrested. They get thrown in jail, which is where they meet Tim, which is the Australian-Chinese guy. And... basically, they have their comedic sidekick, and so they kind of get to the end of that little crazy disaster thing, and then the actual disaster happens of So the thing about the asteroid belt is that it's depicted in science fiction and movies and everything as being a lot more full than it really is. There's a lot of stuff in the asteroid belt, but that's just relative to space, which is mostly empty.
Mm-hmm.
So the asteroid belt isn't a big deal, but you know what else is in space? Asteroids and comics and just like other things. And like we can have
space junk.
And literally something can happen where they got thrown off course by the gravity of the moons, and so the original course plotted by the planet is what was correct then, but 17 years have gone by, and they've been diverted, and now they have gotten just slightly too close to Jupiter. Now it's throwing everything off. All of the science basically miscalculated the mass of Jupiter, and so they undercalculated the gravitational pull of Jupiter.
I appreciate that way more than
the actual science of it.
37 hours of disaster.
Yes, that's my inciting incident that gets the movie going. There's the personal one of them going to rescue their dad,
yes,
and the macro one of like, and also this other stuff's happening. So it happens to be that because this kid stole the truck or whatever, the rest of them were destroyed in the earthquake. So now they're in charge of getting everyone they can, going and getting this this battery to restart the rocket to try to get to, supercharge the rocket and get them away from Jupiter.
Right.
Fine. And then largely everything that kind of happens as it goes, but now they actually have real motivation and stuff like that.
Right.
And real science. Basically, they go and get
the lighter core.
Yeah, the lighter core, and that's where they find scientists with dice and selfish scientists.
Yeah, they throw up in their mask.
The older one does. The younger one is the one who has dice. The older guy, the selfish one, throws up in his mask and then gives the mask to Tim, and the younger one has dice because he's a nerd. Yeah,
you got to make sure that that's well established.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't know that already by the nerdy glasses and
the two scientists are the only two people in the movie who wear glasses,
mm-hmm.
and you know they're the nerdy scientists because they're the two people in the movie who wear glasses.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. Basically, the younger scientist was actually in a plane that crashed because Jupiter is so close to Earth. It's siphoning off. The pseudoscience of the movie is that Jupiter is siphoning off of Earth's atmosphere. And so because the atmosphere is gone, planes can't fly anymore. That's not how that works. Well, it's sort of how that works, actually. But basically, they lose control and crash. This kid manages to survive the crash with the core, and he's the one that ends up figuring out the science in order to do the things. The eventual plan, when everything goes wrong, is because Earth's atmosphere is missing with Jupiter's atmosphere, which is mostly hydrogen, they want to throw a spark at it, ignite it, and that explosion will propel Earth away. Sure.
Beautiful.
Whatever. They end up figuring out a plan to do that. It doesn't quite work, and the only way it's going to work is if, in the movie, Dad pilots the space station into this rocket fuel and explodes all of the jet fuel on the space station. And that's the spark that ignites everything and blows Earth away, and they make it, and woo, we're all happy. A lot of people are dead, but we're going to gloss over that. They don't matter because they didn't have names.
They killed a lot of people.
So
if there was
people.
Anyone left, which it didn't seem like there were a lot anyways.
Yeah.
They killed them all, and then somehow, the same city that was destroyed by lava.
That was a different city.
Oh, it was a different city?
That was the Indonesian city.
Okay.
I don't know.
1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
But then remember, where was he in jail? Still in Indonesia?
That was just a random jail. That was that was a separate jail in the middle of nowhere.
Correction.
That was like military jail.
Okay. Random spot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Between the two.
Yeah, because the important thing was that they weren't in the town that basically got destroyed, but then was fine when they finally got back to it at the end of the movie. But yeah, in terms of plot, that's kind of what I had in mind. But I don't want to have Earth's atmosphere being siphoning off in order to stop an explosion.
The visuals, though, looked so stupid and fun.
That's true. It looked really good. That was the thing. That was the Dragon Ball Z thing you referenced, where it's Earth's atmosphere is getting siphoned to Jupiter, and so it looks like Goku and Vegeta at the end of the Saiyan arc, Kamehameha Gallic gunning at each other, and it's just beams struggling, red and purple, just this blast in space. Earth's fighting Jupiter. It can't win, but it's going to try really hard.
You could have never said it better than that. That was amazing. I love every minute of that.
I know so much about Dragon Ball Z, and it rarely comes up in conversation.
I've been blessed by it today. Thank you, Sam.
But, like, in terms of plot and gender swapping so that it's not just all a bunch of, like, muscle dudes, what else needs to happen in terms of, like, story? Because it's a disaster movie. Things need to go wrong.
Right. I mean, honestly, that's my favorite part about the disaster movies, though, is just keep piling it on. It's entertainment. It's explosions. It's
what are some other
ridiculousness.
So then let's ask this. What are some other things that can go wrong, and or what are some other disaster movies that you'd like to incorporate because this one doesn't have enough?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll tell you so far, like, what I really loved about it. The bubbles, the mechanism of the inflated bubbles.
Oh, yeah. They have this safety device that's basically just a giant Zumba, but with hard edges, and it just, like, as long as we're talking Dragon Ball Z, it works like capsule core. You throw down the little thing, and then it makes it a giant bubble that protects you from stuff. And
they use it multiple times.
They do.
3 different times, and it's entertaining every single time they do it.
It absolutely is. Yes, that's true.
They have, like, a Blade Runner city
That's exactly what the city is.
Like, that looks so visually appealing.
It's the Blade Runner city mixed with the city from the Mario Brothers movie.
Yes, totally.
That's what it's like living underground in this particular dystopian future.
And I can't emphasize enough how perfect the costumes are. I'm going to do a little nod out to Flo in New Zealand, because she's one of my best friends out there doing costumes, and she did a fantastic job. Her and her team at Wētā are just phenomenal. The detail, there's like robotic armature that help them do their tasks and tools, and the space suits and the engineering suits and the military suits, they all look so perfect.
They really do.
Which is what I'm gaga over. And then
it's got like enhanced limb things, so like when he reaches out and pulls something, it's got the enhanced robot strength that like the suit's arm gives them,
and it looks believable.
It does.
It's not cumbersome or like the paint jobs are just done so well, and they work with every scene that they're trying to accomplish something irrational. You basically want to join in and believe it.
Yeah, it's suits that are like, oh, well, I mean, clearly it's the future. They're going to have advanced technology and they need to work on a harsh surface. This is exactly the sort of suit that they would wear.
Right. So all of those things, the ice truckers, the bad robots, the lava, the doomsday, the timeline seems too close for comfort, but
I mean,
at the end of the day, like,
they
things
have this
that you want to change, I feel like is appropriate.
They have this briefly calm moment when they reach the ocean, and the main kid's like, is that a whale? And it's like, yeah, looks like that's a whale. And it's just like, because everything froze over, because they blew the planet into space, like the ocean's frozen, so it's a whale like breaching, but like that's when it froze, and it's just a dead whale for no reason other than to be like, yeah, shit's fucked. Anyway, do you want to go try to save the planet?
Oh, and then the Olympics nod. Remember that? That was like, I don't know where.
Yeah, that was so weird.
2044?
Like, they randomly referenced, like, they were referencing everyone just, like, kind of piling in and, like, saving the planet or whatever, like, originally planning out saving the world. And it was Shanghai 2044.
Apparently they really want the Olympics,
then. They're calling their shot, Shanghai 2044. Oh, my God. It was...
I loved it. I really did.
Yeah, you gotta watch this movie.
Yeah. For sure.
You gotta watch this movie. Don't watch it alone. This is prime watch with other people kind of movie.
Especially if you're an artist, because you're gonna really appreciate the amount of detail. I mean, they spent
because you gotta have something to appreciate other than the plot.
Unless you love disaster movies.
No, like right, but like they're making a bunch of mistakes and you're shouting at them, but then you're just like, but this design, oh my god.
The music was also really good.
Yeah, and. Like, there was definitely a couple moments when just, like, they just walk outside and just, there's Jupiter, and you're just like, shit, that's cool.
It is super cool.
And, like, the dad in the spaceship is tracking time by drawing circles around Jupiter to track how close they're getting. That's not how physics and science work, or inertia, or anything like that. The important thing is...
It was a cool visual effect.
It looked great.
And everyone loves drawings.
They do!
Yeah. You gotta draw in every space movie. I feel like you gotta have a dry erase board in really everyone. Do.
And then you defeat the evil space moss robot, despite the fact the robot is now superseding the actual disembodied authority voices. And so the dad in space takes the moonshine that the Russian astronaut who died earlier in the movie hid in his spacesuit, throws it at the robot, and it immediately combusts and burns this robot down before taking manual control of the space station and driving it to explode and die.
Beautiful.
It's crazy.
Makes no sense. Beautiful.
Yeah. Let's talk about cast.
Okay, let's do that.
Like I said, I did a bunch of gender swaps, but I feel like we got to swap with the dad who I made the mom.
Okay.
Did you keep it a guy or did you gender swap?
I kept it a guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who did you have for space parent?
So I felt like this movie was meant to be really funny, but without a lot of dramatic acting, it didn't come off as funny as it was supposed to be.
Fair.
So with the dad, I wanted him to be Simon Pegg.
Wow. Okay.
But I definitely am all about gender swapping because the women roles were atrocious in this film.
And it's like, instead of going through and like inventing things for the girl characters to do, it's like, just make the characters female. Like, whatever.
And capable of doing anything.
And you know who's the most capable and the most competent and capable of doing anything female character we have right now?
Let's hear it.
Michelle Yeoh. You know, from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I have
who
her.
Can literally do everything and anything. And
yes, she's perfect.
She can eat the bagel.
Yes, she can.
Yeah. And so what I actually ended up doing was I made the dad, the mom, the dad, and the son. I did make them all Chinese American.
Yeah.
Because playing homage to like the origin of the movie as it exists. Like, it is a Chinese movie and that we should still respect that. But like, Michelle Yeoh is so fucking badass and is so good at everything. She should be in space taking control of the space station and shutting shit down. Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. She is amazing.
Okay. So then I also gender swapped Angry Kid.
I did too.
Tell me who you had for Angry Child.
Okay, actually, I'm going to correct myself. I did not switch the gender role of the son.
That's fine.
I picked Tom Holland.
We all know who Tom Holland is.
Yes, because he's goofy and
he would make a perfect son for Simon Pegg.
Yes.
Look, if you make Simon Pegg a father, how old is Simon Pegg? Simon Pegg age. Simon Pegg's 52? Yeah, Simon Pegg would be perfect to play Tom Holland's father. Like, if we'd had Simon Pegg, Tom Holland's a perfect kid.
But you picked Michelle Yeoh.
I did.
And I think she's amazing, and I picked her as Grandpa's girlfriend.
Ah, that's funny.
So instead of the sister, it was Grandpa's girlfriend that wanted to bond with the son and go for an adventure.
Yeah, that works.
So it's quirkier. It's not as endearing as your version.
Where
I think
it's just
the wholesome family.
The actual nuclear family.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have to throw any parents away.
Yeah.
Oh, well, mom's broken. In the bin she goes. It literally shows them pulling the plug and having a cemetery, and then
roses?
Well, the roses were the cemetery, and she was in a box. They covered the box up, and then it was kind of like showed the cremation. It's like, well, mom got cremated anyway.
Barely an inconvenience.
Super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Yep.
So my slightly less angry child is an actress named Natasha Liu Bordizzo, who was in Day Shift. Did you hear about what Day Shift was?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's in Day Shift. She's in something called The Society. She's going to be in the new Ahsoka show. She also was in the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon sequel or remake or whatever. I think playing the young Michelle Yeoh character.
Awesome.
And she, just for fun, has a black belt in Taekwondo.
Convenient. Because you need that when disasters are coming.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're going to put someone in an action movie, you want to get someone who can do action.
Mm-hmm.
And so this actress, I haven't seen her on anything, but her resume is so cool that I was like, okay, Natasha Liu Bordizzo seems like the way to go. Yeah, she's 19 during the filming of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny. And
I love you for this because I only really memorize and can remember A-list stars.
Nah.
So throwing in other characters and giving them a role makes more sense than my entire A-list.
Do you want to know the other
scenario.
super funny thing about this actress?
Let's hear it.
She is half Chinese,
Okay.
and half Australian.
Then you kind of got the Tim thing in there.
I have
then?
Tim later.
Yeah.
But he is neither Australian nor Chinese.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But yeah, like, I was like, I mean, it has to. She's so good.
Yes.
And then I have Duo. I gender swapped her as well to be like a little boy. Mm-hmm. And I cast a little kid. I did some research. I found a little kid. I think this kid's 11 or 12 now. He was in the Watchmen show. He's an Underground Railroad. He was really little in Stranger Things. It's a young actor named Danny Boyd Jr.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if you cast the child.
I did not. I just replaced her with Grandpa's girlfriend.
Which makes perfect sense. And we kept Grandpa's girlfriend, but put her in space.
Yeah, instead. Yeah, so it's perfect. As long as we have her in it, I'm more than happy.
So hilariously, I didn't know this going in, but it turns out that my mom and dad are both 60 years old. So it's like 60 years old with like a 20-year-old and whatever.
It's fine.
Modern family.
You know, IVF these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even. Like, let's say main kid's 20-something. That means mom had like late 30s, which is how old my mom was when she had me.
Oh, yeah, because the sister's adopted.
Yeah, sister's adopted.
That's why. Mm-hmm. Now that makes more sense.
Yeah. But who did you have for your grandfather who is now my father? I don't think that's the right sentence.
The Grandpa Han?
Yeah, Grandpa Han.
Grandpa Han, I have Sylvester Stallone. We gotta have a disaster guy in it.
I mean, that's not bad.
He's still acting.
Yeah.
He's still... The Samaritan, I wasn't great, but you know what? I still love him. I think he's a fantastic person.
Alright, so the actor I had is a Chinese actor named Chima, who... He's in The Arrival, he's in The Farewell, he was...
I love The Farewell.
He was the love interest guy in Mulan.
Okay, yep.
And I think he's the love interest guy in Mulan. I don't... What was... Well,
I definitely am very familiar with The Farewell.
Yeah, so he's in that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's in the new Mulan. Oh, never mind. Boring. The
live action?
Yeah. In The Farewell, he plays Haiyan, but I don't know. But yeah, so I am going to push us to keep him as dad/grandpa.
Okay.
Now dad, but I'm very excited to hear who your Tim is.
Tim is Kevin Hart.
Wow. Why Kevin Hart?
Because he's kind of goofy and trying to help, but he really isn't adding much except comic relief the entire time. And it made me think of a lot of the Jumanji character that Kevin Hart plays.
That's not bad. Yeah, you know what? You're right. My Tim is literally the Tim that I joked about making it when we watched the movie. Ron Funches.
Yes.
But I think as a random guy they meet half an hour, 40 minutes into the movie, and you're just in jail, and then you just lean over and you're just like...
With a flashlight?
Is that Kevin Hart? I guess Kevin Hart's in jail. That's funny. We're going to go with Kevin Hart for Tim.
I like it. Either way, great suggestions, man. We're going for it here.
So then I have the scientist with dice, the selfish scientist, and then a soldier.
I have 2 soldiers because I can't tell the difference between any of them.
We're going to go with all of our soldiers just to, like, have them. But, like, I didn't care about the soldiers. They're literally there to die.
And then only the dice scientist, because he's the only one that really stuck out to me as being memorable, because he kept suggesting things throughout the process, and he came in on the airplane.
Yeah, okay.
In the middle.
He has a wrench at some point.
He has a wrench at some point and throws it.
Okay, so I gender swapped that character.
Okay.
I went with an actress who's been in Supergirl. She's been in Jane the Virgin. She was in Silicon Valley. Her name is Aziz Tesfaye, who I'm going to just Google what this lady looks like so you know.
Wow, she's gorgeous.
I mean, yeah, it's a movie.
Yep.
So, like, make the scientist...
Attractive?
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie. The
female?
scientist is going to be attractive, but mostly just, like, you know, female and a little bit more multicultural.
Do you think she would like to hold 12-sided die?
I don't see why not. There are lots of nerds right now.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
My Instagram is filled with lots of hot women holding dice being like, haha, nerdy.
Perfect.
But, yeah. I just
what about your other scientist?
No, I just completely forgot who yours was.
I didn't tell you.
Oh, tell me who your nerd.
Okay.
Tell me who your nerdy scientist is.
I made it ridiculous. We were mentioning Day Shift, right?
Go on.
Snoop Dogg.
Wow. Okay.
Just because of the comedy, it would just be so ridiculous if it was Snoop
You want
Dogg.
Snoop Dogg to be your scientist who
Yes.
comes up with, who says the technical jargon.
Yep. So dumb.
You know what we're actually going to do? Because we didn't cast this role, and here's what we actually need to do. Snoop Dogg is going to be Michelle Yeoh's friend on the space station.
Oh, the Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
The Russians-
obviously...
yeah.
Yeah.
Space station friend.
I love it. Yeah, that would be great. That'd be so great.
Because, like, it's all different kinds of people. Because it's secretly the genetic, like, survival pods. And Snoop Dogg's the one's like, I mean, I don't know how you got up here, but, like, you're using your degree, I guess. Anyway, thanks for being a good pal this whole time. And Snoop Dogg would definitely sneak some sort of mind-altering substance into someone's suit.
We need that in the future.
Yeah, like, you're not supposed to have things that can light on fire in space, but Snoop Dogg would.
It would be very entertaining. And then that scene where they're outside of the outside of the spaceship. There's so many words. There should have been so many amazing quotes during this movie, and it was just not happening.
I mean, to be fair, the amazing quotes were probably in Chinese, and then we got the dubbed, translated version.
I literally looked at most famous quotes of this movie, and there
it
were
just
zero.
referenced the book. Yeah, I did the same thing. But let's talk about the selfish scientist, who you did not have. The old one, the vomit
I did
scientist.
not have it.
So I had a Japanese actor named Jun Kitamura, who he's in Kill Bill Volume 1. He was like the grandfather character in Kate, that action movie.
Yep.
That was on Netflix. And he's a Japanese actor, so he's been in a bunch of different Japanese movies. I just thought he would be good.
I feel like now we need more like fighting scenes. We need to add them with all these martial artists.
He's not a martial artist.
Oh.
He's an old man.
Oh. Maybe just with the other martial artists that you're referring to?
The only martial artists that I have are Michelle Yeoh and Natasha Liu-Bordizzo.
With the Crouching Tiger?
Yeah, those are the two actresses who have been in the two different Crouching Tiger movies.
Yeah. That would be cool.
It would be. Like, doing
More
crazy
fights
shit.
with
Like,
military.
well, that's exactly it. Like, if they're wearing these enhanced suits that make them able to do crazy things, let's see them do other crazy things other than just having really good grip strength.
Right.
Which is all we see. All the suit does is make you super strong, which is a power fantasy. They have guns and strength suits because it's a power fantasy. Mm-hmm. Because male.
Yep.
Yeah. So then...
Is that why it looks like a sperm when it's going through space?
No, that's because it's supposed to look like a comet, but they're trying very hard not to get Jupiter pregnant.
What about Uranus?
Wow! Boo!
Sorry, not sorry.
Amazing. All right. So then we have 3 soldiers total. We're going to use all of them. So, Katelyn, who was your first soldier?
I wanted badass women, because like we were saying, the gender problems in this movie. I wanted Zoe Saldana.
Great.
I wanted Chloe Grace Moretz, which is the girl in Kick-Ass.
She's done a lot of things other than that.
Yeah. You can name a few. I just can only think of Kick-Ass right now.
All right, great. So those are our 2 additional soldiers. My additional soldier is Will Poulter, who he's, you know that Where the Millers meme where it's like, I did this, you guys got things? Mm-hmm. He's the son from Where the Millers.
Yep.
He was also in Maze Runner. He's in Midsommar. He's around.
I liked Maze Runner.
Yeah. I've seen the first one now, and I'm supposed to watch the second 2 with former guest of the show, Kamara, and her fiance, Cam. I was supposed to watch it last week, but I got sick. So I need to text them and see if I can watch that on Wednesday, actually.
I'm excited to see what you think.
And I'm excited. The first one was fun. It's wild. And you just watch that and you're just like, your infrastructure was for this? And so I was like commenting on that, and Kamara was like, no, it gets explained in the second one. And I'm like, okay. So I'm excited to see what happens.
I'm excited for you.
Me too. It's going to be great. And so Will Poulter's...
Stay tuned.
Yeah, Will Poulter's the one who like kind of stays behind and goes crazy. Mm-hmm. That's Will Poulter. Mm. And that's all of the actors that I have. Do you have any other roles that I didn't...
I have a concern about animals throughout the film.
Please tell me you're concerned about animals. Do we need more animals?
We need at least a sidekick dog.
Should it be a dog?
Or cat, but how well can you train a cat?
No,
a hamster?
You know why it needs to be a dog?
Okay.
It needs to be like one of the mush dogs. The
Huskies.
It has to be a husky.
My gnarly.
Yeah, it has to be gnarly.
I have a husky, by the way.
Yeah, it has to be. I don't know if the ones that the sleigh dogs, sled dogs. I don't know if sled dogs are they huskies. Always, it's like some sort of something.
They're like Alaskan Malamutes are the ones that stayed at home, and Alaskan Huskies are the ones that went out. But they have mixes.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I think it needs to be that because you need a dog that can survive in the
wilderness,
frigid,
the
frigid outside.
But also, where how are crops happening? How are animals where are they living?
I don't think that's important for us to worry about how people live. How people live doesn't matter for how people live.
Right. It's disaster. That's all we need to know.
One of the things I think is important for the world building of this is discussing, is basically doing a Hunger Games and a Divergent of the different colonies have different responsibilities. This colony has a smaller rocket, so it's a farming colony. This colony is technology. This colony is medical stuff. And it's specialization, and so it also is good if people want to specialize in something else for them to leave their colony because genetic diversity over 2,500 years is really important. Otherwise, you have weird mutants, and you get the plot of Time Machine.
And then, or a disaster movie in space where there's
different styles of human.
Wasn't it Pandorum? Pandorum was where they did this, and the humans started to evolve into aliens and started to kill each other.
I'm unfamiliar with this, but I believe you.
It's a good movie.
If you say so.
It's a little bit older, but yeah, I recommend it.
Okay. But yes, I agree. Dogs are good. They should always have more dogs.
Right.
And
always.
It's going to be a depressing trip for 2,500 years if there are no dogs.
Agreed. I'd rather save the dogs than humans, to
Correct.
be honest.
100%.
Yeah.
So that brings us to writer and director. And you said you didn't do this.
I did not. But I will tell you, I found out a fact that they contacted Luc Besson and James Cameron to do this movie. Mm-hmm. And everyone refused. And they just went with a guy that had never done another film really before, except for 2 films, maybe. And they're like, oh, he's not going to be able to do it. And he actually succeeded.
He did a decent job. As far as, he did.
He got it done.
Did great. Yeah, he got it done, and it's a movie.
Yeah.
And it's a movie we both enjoyed.
Yes.
Twice now. Yes, I agree. Although, I'm glad they didn't give it to Luc Besson. That guy is problematic. And also, I've seen Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
The only thing I can love about him is Fifth Element is one of my favorites, and Leon the Professional.
All right, fair enough.
But other than that, yikes.
Yeah, the movie about a guy who's hanging out with a much younger woman.
Yep.
That's not
standard
indicative
practice.
That's also not indicative of who he is as a person. It doesn't matter. I've had that conversation earlier on this podcast.
Yikes.
So, my writers I found them because they're the writers of the movie Red.
Okay.
They also wrote The Meg. And
Perfect.
Battleship.
Oh, I love those movies.
My Spy. And the upcoming movie, Mighty Mouse.
Perfect.
It's we're not doing high art here. We want the big, crazy fun. And that's where you get John and Eric Hober, who I think are brothers. And, they write the big, bombastic craziness. And sometimes they hit it out of the park. And sometimes it's just crazy, dumb fun. And either way, we win because that's what this movie is.
And if they hit it out of the park, it's just taking Earth and getting it
even
out
better.
of the solar
Then we
system.
get Red 2, which I hear is fine.
Awesome.
But yeah, I love Red, and it just seeing their other filmography, I was like, yeah, these are the guys.
Perfect.
My director is Kathy Yan, who did Birds of Prey. She worked on Succession.
More female-driven.
Female-driven.
Yes.
Chinese.
Perfect.
Can do fucking action.
Let's do it.
Kathy Yan.
Sold.
And that's the movie we want. And it's the movie we deserve.
Yes.
I know we didn't do an amazing job of describing this movie, but seriously, go watch this movie.
You should.
It's 2 hours long. You're going to have an amazing time. It's going to be great.
And you can judge your friends harshly if they don't enjoy any part of it. They probably shouldn't be your friend.
Correct. If you're not able to find something in this movie to love, look harder, because it's there. Cool. So let me take you through our cast of The Wandering Earth. Lu Pekang, our mom, is Michelle Yeoh. Lu Chi, the daughter, is going to be Natasha Lubordizzo. Grandpa Han is now the dad. That's Chi Ma. Duo is Danny Boyd Jr. Tim is going to be Kevin Hart. Yi Gi, the scientist with the dice, is going to be Ozzy Tesfaye. Our space station friend is going to be Snoop Dogg. Our selfish scientist is going to be Jun Kinemura. Our soldiers are going to be Zoe Saldana, Will Poulter, and Chloe Grace Moretz. And all of this will be written by John and Eric Hober, and then directed by Kathy Yan. That is The Wandering Earth. You gonna go see this movie, Caitlin?
100%.
Woo!
Every time.
Yeah. This movie's gonna be crazy. I'm so excited to watch it on Netflix with a bunch of friends while they all drink and I cheer them on.
And we will slingshot that right around.
We're taking this movie past the moon.
And maybe less throwaway characters?
Look, it's a disaster movie. People have to die.
But like the moons? They should have made an approach at some point.
I would love it if they make a point of blowing up the moon, because otherwise the moon's a threat. Like, you make a big deal about sacrificing the moon, because if, as they're in space, they can't take a risk if the moon decides to come crashing into Earth and rendering all of this pointless. You gotta make a big set piece about testing all the technology by strapping it to the moon and blasting the moon off into space. Okay, that's where the moon went.
I have one more question for you, Sam.
Please.
What voice should Moss be?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
I'm going to suggest Patrick Stewart.
Of course, Moss is Patrick Stewart.
My little nod to Next Gen.
Gotta have space. Captain's log. I can't let you do that. That's Sean Connery. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to try again.
Make it so.
Make it show. Come here, number one.
Full warp speed.
All right, Caitlin. Thank you so much for A, reminding me about why this movie's amazing, and B, thank you for being a guest on my show.
It was a literal blast, Sam.
Yay!
Thank you. I love coming on your show.
If anyone is if you're interested in having anyone follow you on social media, say that now, or if there's projects you want people to be involved in, tell them about them now.
Well, usually I make Marvel and DC costumes. That's my full-time job, but on the side...
And can you tell us about all of the ones you're working on right now?
I cannot.
Oh,
I can
weird.
never talk about the things I'm working on right now, but I did just have a movie get released, and I can tell you that Black Adam's a pretty bomb movie. You should go see it.
And you heard it from Caitlin. Black Adam is a bomb.
And also, Black Panther is coming out shortly, and you will be very happy to hear how that plot goes.
I will be, probably.
And then if any of you are interested, I do vintage wedding gowns on the side at Silver Screen Bridal on Instagram.
Yeah, so check out Silver Screen Bridal on Instagram for all of your vintage wedding dress needs. And then, if you want to see Caitlin's other work, look to the screen!
Or the stars.
Or the star! Look to the stars on the screen!
There you go.
There you go.
Bingo.
Yeah. If you're interested in finding out more about me, I am at Sam Gasch, SamGasch on Twitter, or you can follow the podcast at Ideal Remake on Twitter or Instagram, or join us on Facebook at Ideal Remake Podcast, or join the Dueling Genre Discord, which should be in the show notes for this very show. The Dueling Genre Discord is where you can chat to all the Dueling Genre creators, including me, and tell me what I'm missing and what other disaster movies Caitlin and I need to watch.
Yes!
We want to know that information.
Big bada boom!
Big bada boom. And since we're talking about dueling genre, I always talk about one of the other shows on the network. And this episode, I'm talking about the New Republic Archives, hosted by Gary Robbie and Tim Garcia. It's every other Thursday, and they're huge fans of Star Wars, and basically they're celebrating the full breadth of the extended universe, one media property at a time, and you can bet they've got all of the coverage of Andor you could possibly want. So, Caitlin, we've reached the end of Wandering Earth. It has been 2,500 years, and we're finally in our home solar system. So, I ask you, what is your favorite quote from the movie The Wandering Earth?
Hope is the only thing that I can think of right now coming from this movie. What other quotes were there?
I'm genuinely trying to think of some right now.
It was a terrible speech by a little girl that had no motivation to explain any life experience at all because she'd been in a hole her whole life.
And angry kid is always talking about how he's a genius, and you're just like, okay, I don't care about that. Oh, there was this crazy quote where they're getting arrested. They think they're going to go back to jail, and Tim comes up and goes, I swear to God, that girl last week was consensual.
Oh,
and you're just like,
no, yeah.
That's not good. What are you... I mean, obviously it should be consensual, But, like, this is a doth protest too much type situation, Tim.
Yes.
So that was not good. That's not a good quote. We don't like that.
We don't actually completely understand if the translation was wrong, though.
I'm sure it was something. I think my favorite quote from the movie The Wandering Earth is both of us when we looked up at the movie and realized we got this incredible glamour shot of Jupiter and both of us just went, holy shit.
And then yelled Super Saiyan.
I mean, Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, there's possibly even Super Saiyan 4. We're going Super Saiyan Blue or Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Blue, depending on what we want to do. All of those are real. Don't even worry about it.
I love it.
All right, Caitlin, we did it.
What a pleasure.
We wandered the Earth.